All right, y'all. It's your girl, Key of Key and Mercy. Mercy is a character in a series of books I'm writing. Y'all, Mercy is the business. I am, at some point, I got to get her over for edit. I keep telling y'all, I'm the only person doing this stuff, and I'm having to breathe sometime, y'all. This is a lot. I'd be lying if I told y'all this was easy. This is not easy. And I'm working a full-time job. I told y'all I need to quit my job. It would help if I had enough time to do this stuff. Trying to balance out work. Oh, and I had, that doggone Asia gonna come through and tell me, her mama. She said, how you putting a job before what God has positioned you to be doing? You know, sometimes when I talk to my kids, especially Nene is somebody that reads the Bible, and the stuff she write, you would not think it would come from her. I'm so serious. But yeah, I keep telling you I need to quit my job. Financially, I'm not in a position to do it. I'm praying to God that once I send Mercy to edit and I can get her published, I got to do self-publishing. Y'all can't be waiting on no publishing company. Once I get her published, I can go ahead and take off with these things, y'all. So, y'all ready to hear what happened when I died at 40? Okay, so I ended the No Desire to Fight video, letting you all know that I had died at 40. Let me help you all understand how that death came about. So I've always heard preachers and pastors talk about how you have to die to yourself. Now, this is not something that I understood. And when you don't have people that are actually willing to teach you this type of stuff, you're not understanding that these may just be instructions that you actually need for your life. So I'm not thinking in a million years that this is something that actually pertains to me. So I endured a harsh reality about myself, and it included me repeating relationship types and vicious cycles of relocating because of the pitfalls of bad relationships. I told y'all before, when I did my cycles, I had identified that I'm on my 28th dwelling. I know that sounds bad, y'all. It sounds bad when I say it. And so let me just help y'all receive this a little bit. So, because I know y'all sitting here like the pitfalls of bad relationships. I really didn't understand what it meant myself. Because somebody kept saying, it's like you in pitfalls of all your relationships. I'm saying, like, what does that even look like? And I had to go back, and y'all know me. I'm going to research myself before I go giving anybody anything. I got to research myself. So this is what I came to understand as realities of some of these relationships that led to me then having to create change. Ain't that, come on, y'all. Come on in here. Come on in. So look, listen. If you are in a relationship and you keep trying to toughen y'all up while the other person is sitting back watching you do so, if you're in a relationship and there is much the other person says that they don't do, and no matter what you say or complain about, their I don't do's ever change. If you the fixer in the relationship, you know, the person that the other person always call on when they in a jam, like you always find yourself reminding them that you at work, and they still want to go on and tell you what it is that they actually need you to do for them because they done got themselves in something they need you to fix it real quick. And now you find yourself interrupting your work day because you're trying to help them out. This somebody you with, that you in a relationship with this person and you constantly having to fix what they're doing or what they're screwing up. And this is a big one, y'all. If after a bad breakup, you find yourself having to put your life back together all over again. remove names from things. Oh, Jesus. Y'all, that's a subject for me. Removing names from things, starting all over, saving your money because you just spent a whole lot of it trying to keep this relationship afloat. Again, having to relocate, move somewhere else. Enduring the loss of things that's needed. So you may have to move because that wasn't your house. That it ain't had your name on it. So now you're enduring a loss that you actually need. You may have had to give back a car because it wasn't in your name. That you need that car. So enduring losses of things that you actually need. It's almost like it feels like you had an unwanted guest in your house and they were there so long that now that they gone, you got to repaint, buy new furniture, sanitize and deodorize the whole house, reverse bad eating habits, change your entire thought process because you've inherited theirs. Ain't that crazy? This is just a few pitfalls of bad relationships. It's a whole lot more of them, y'all. Some of y'all probably already sitting there fanning like, woo, child. Y'all feel me? So, at the age of 39, y'all keep up. Y'all know I got to give y'all some history about some stuff in order to come full circle with what it is I'm trying to get y'all. At the age of 39, I found myself not being able to renew my lease after 1 year in my apartment. I had been back to court with 2 of my children's fathers. That's my alarm going off, y'all. That's that treatment. That's that treatment. I had found myself going back to court with 2 of my children's fathers, and at that time neither one of them were paying child support. So I'm gonna give y'all some figures because we family. We gonna keep this all the way 100. That's the only way I can give it to y'all in the raw. Now some of you all probably make money and this is probably chump change to y'all, but some of you all are living below the poverty level that the government won't acknowledge. That's that level where you hit that median where you make too much money to qualify for state assistance, but you don't make enough money to raise your kids on your own. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Don't play with. I know I ain't the only person that hit that median. So my rent here, listen to these numbers, y'all. My rent was $1,250 a month. Daycare was $980 a month. Guess what? I didn't make enough to pay both of those together in one paycheck. So y'all already know this ain't looking good. And then too, this was the same year that my job had realized that the title they had me under was incorrect and that I had to change my pay status. And I no longer qualified for overtime. Remember I told y'all in a previous video that I was working enough overtime to at least have an additional check. That helped out a lot. So when this happened, things changed real quick. I mean, I got to looking at what they was paying me from a salary perspective. And it was like, oh no, we can't live off that. You feel me? Look, y'all hear the crickets outside. I'm home alone, y'all. This is so awkward for me. It's real quiet. And I hit mute on the TVs and stuff. Then I went in the living room and was like, ain't nobody even in here. I probably need to move again because this is too much house for just me and Layla. So we'll see. Okay. So what happened was I started to see when you somebody that actually lives by your budget, you know what your bills are every month and you know how much money you bringing in, you know what that negative amount could possibly look like for you every month. So I was able to actually see myself start to spiral financially. And then you got to throw in the fact that I told y'all in that other video, you got to throw in the fact that my tires was getting slashed. At one point, I was taking the little one to work with me because her daycare account was suspended for non-payment. And she went to work with me for 3 weeks until I was told she was a liability. Now, I'm going to tell y'all how good God is. One of the ladies who was retired from my church stepped in and said, I'm going to help you. I'll keep the baby during your work hours. What? Y'all, I was so thankful. When you don't know how you gonna work something out, when things just all of a sudden go bad and it just seems like it's one thing after the other, and then all of a sudden someone shows up out of nowhere not wanting anything more than just to help you. My God. That's all I could really say is my God, y'all. And then Get this. And then that person's family helped me to get my baby back in daycare. Whew, y'all. There are true saints of God out here for real, y'all. I have to say that. There are. And I'm so thankful for the ones that came into my life at such a critical moment in my life. So I had been in talks with my uncle regarding my financial instabilities. And I was explaining to him that I'm not going to be able to renew my lease because I just can't afford my apartment and the bills that come with it. Considering I have absolutely no help financially. There's no overtime anymore. There's just nothing. It's just this salary. And it was a funky salary. There wasn't nothing I could do with that. For real. And so the time came where I actually had to move. And we had to move into a bedroom in my uncle's house. I would say about 90% of my things went to storage. I cannot stress to you all what was going through my mind during this transition. I can't. Just thinking about it. Yeah. So 90% of our things are in storage. And we're living out of totes. I feel like somebody else that went through this. I'm sitting here, I don't know what that is. I feel like somebody else, while I'm sitting here trying to get through this, there is something sitting here telling me somebody's going to see this video and they're going to know exactly how you felt in that instant because they've been there. That is crazy. I feel like goosebumps, y'all. That is crazy. I don't feel this very often. Maybe this is new to me, but I don't feel this very often. So y'all have to excuse me because I don't, I told you I don't call myself an evangelist, prophetess, nothing. But it seemed like certain things come up when I'm going through some of these. And right there, that part right there is I'm just sitting here stuck at the fact that we living out of totes. And something is telling me somebody else has had to endure this. Now, I want y'all to understand something. I was thankful that my uncle was so understanding and that him and my aunt did everything. I mean, they did everything to make us comfortable in their home. This was just not my home. And I think any adult who's been in this predicament can understand and respect what it is that I'm saying. It wasn't my home. I'm in a room with my children in one bed, and we have totes piled up in a corner, and we have a clothing rack, and we have boxes of shoes at the bottom of the clothing rack, and there's a bookshelf with a TV on it, which halfway through my year with my uncle, the TV actually blew out. We lost the TV en route to the storage place. It broke. And then the TV that I took with me blew out. Now, the only other TV I had left was my 73-inch. And as small as that room was, my 73-inch was not going to fit in there. So I even went through a really horrific time when the TV went out because it meant that I would be sitting in this room in quiet. And I learned a lot. Sitting in quiet can give you such a revelation about you and God and y'all relationship. Sometimes it just needs to just be you and God. And that's what happened. The TV probably blew out for a reason, y'all. I told y'all I'd be getting revelations while I'm sitting here speaking. The TV probably blew out for a reason because I started writing Mercy while I sat there in the quiet. I began trying to piece together my cycles and traumas while I was sitting there in the quiet. So I'm sharing a room with me and my kids. We in one bed. Asia's dad had already volunteered to take her to school every day as part of her parental allocation. Now, he did this because the parental allocation had him paying tuition and transportation. He said, I'll pay the tuition. I'm not paying transportation. I could take her to school for myself. Here's a side note. And this is for the non-custodial parents, because not all of them are dads. Some of them are moms. Here's a side note for the non-custodial parent. don't do things to be vindictive that you know you really don't want to do. And I say that because I was a little shaky about what he was trying to change. Now, mind you, I had set all this up. I had set this up so that me and my kids could get to where we needed to be, regardless of what my circumstances were showing. So regardless of how many times my tires got flat, the school provided transportation. Asia was in a private school. There was an additional charge for transportation. The school was providing transportation for Asia. I had it included in her tuition. Dad comes along and decides, if I got to pay tuition, I'm not paying transportation. I can get up and take her to school myself. Now, here's the thing. You and your woman have been living by yourself all this time. You actually going to rearrange your whole life and start getting up at the butt crack of dawn to take her all the way to East Chicago for school? This is what I mean when I say non-custodial parents. Y'all do things to be vindictive, and you know that that's not a part of your life you really want to change. You've been okay with how I've been managing this. And so when my living situation changed, that meant that now he has to come further to pick her up from where I'm living and then take her to school. So what he suggested, and I think y'all probably already know where I'm going with this. What he suggested is that I allow for her to stay the week at his house, and then she come home to me on the weekends. Now, that makes sense, but I also understood where he was getting ready to go with that. Now, I was hesitant to agree because I knew what he was getting ready to do, and he did just what I thought he was going to do. He felt as though he was now the custodial parent and the child support should be changed. Now, I know some men looking at this and thinking, well, yeah, that's true. If he got her 5 days and you got her 2. I completely get the numerics of that. But when a ninja ain't paying child support, what is there to change? I just told y'all what neither one of them paying child support. So, the request he had was answered in court with a chuckle from the judge. Yeah. So, I went ahead and agreed to it. I already knew the judge wasn't going for that. He already had an arrearage, and it was already being documented that he wasn't helping pay, his attorney fees, and, everything kind of comes out in court while other people are in the background in the same courtroom with you listening. I've been in court too many years. Okay, so I agree with it. It did end up hurting me and Asia's relationship really bad. She endured a lot behind it. Eventually, she grew tired of her father cursing her and putting his hands on her, and thus came about that DCFS case that we talked about some videos back. And as much as I would go get her, so much of the negative her father would say to her about me and his need to win her over with monetary things was her reason for constantly going back. Brainwashing is so real. And it truly does damage the child, y'all. Y'all, I need y'all to understand that. Because there's a whole lot of parents out here who spend a whole lot of time talking about the other parent to the child. Please stop. What ends up happening is the child eventually learns the truth, and then they grow up to resent you for disrespecting the other parent. I'd be lying if I said that this did not completely affect me. It drained me. My psyche as a woman and a mother was just effed up. I ain't even gonna lie, y'all. Once the DCFS case came up, I had to rearrange my work schedule and route to and from work because Asia was back in our room permanently again. At one point, I had to use one of my uncle's cars because I had to get a transmission put in my car. That costed me 4 stacks. So my aunt knew a way I could get finance for it, which helped. But it gave me another bill. So the way that it helped, I got finance for the 4 stacks, but it came with a hefty interest rate. And the payment came out on my paycheck every 2 weeks. It was close to $200. Now, I told you I'm going to be honest about these figures. I already told y'all how much daycare was costing. I got her back in daycare, but that daycare bill was the same. It was still $9.80 a month. And I got financed, but the bill every 2 weeks was like $182. So it was actually a little bit more than the car note I was actually still paying. And it was a little bit more than the monthly payment for my car insurance. I think my car insurance at that time was like $125. So I mean, just add it up. The car note was like $335. Then I'm paying $182 every 2 weeks. That's bi-weekly. And then I still got to pay the insurance. I'm still paying daycare. So I was hit with a court order. Y'all, this is crazy. I was hit with a court order from my attorney. And I was ordered to have monthly payments drafted out of my bank account once a month to pay off my debt with my attorney. And the same day that she brought up this court order, this was all a surprise to me. I didn't even know she was getting ready to do this. She actually withdrew from the case. She told me it was a waste of her time. So Asia's attorney, yes, the court motion for Asia to have an attorney with all that had been going on, explained that she was willing to accept what I was financially able to give her from month to month, considering what my attorney had just done. Now, while I appreciated her consideration, it was still yet another monthly bill. So now I got the attorney, my attorney is now taking $200 a month directly out of my bank account. And in order for me to get this lady paid her money, because what happens is when the court appoints an attorney to your child, this is why co-parenting is so effective. You do not want the court to have to dictate what you all do with your child, because they will charge you for it. So since we could not ever come to an agreement, there was always an argument about something. And mind you, in both these cases, I'm the defendant. I never took either one of them to court for child support. Yet I end up in court with them as a defendant and they're ordered to pay child support. Crazy. I know. I'm going to break all this down in the court video, y'all. And so what ends up happening is you have the retainer and then you have all the fees that come after that retainer. We had to split those costs. So now he's paying an attorney and half of Asia's attorney fees, and I'm paying an attorney and half of Asia's attorney fees. I'd be lying if I said the ninja wasn't hitting me in my pockets. He was hitting me good. And this is what this is what happens after the pitfalls. After you have that reality check that I'm not about to keep doing this for no man. After you have that reality, or woman, after you have that reality check and they're upset, this is the type of stupid stuff that go on. So, yeah. So the rent goes away because I'm living with my uncle. So, and my uncle was very understanding, because I know he was sitting there every time something came up. I basically either showed him the bill or told him, this is the court order for this. He was so understanding of everything. He like just scratched his head and was like, well, help with the groceries. You can buy the paper products. Make sure we all got paper towels, paper plates, cups, toilet paper. You know, help out with the cleaning supplies. He not once did he give me a set amount. Oh, Jesus. I told y'all them blessings is real. Not once did my uncle come to me and say, I need you to at least give me $500 a month towards rent. He didn't say that. But in order for him to have a fair understanding of what my financial situation looked like. Hear what I'm saying? Because I told y'all before, people tend to listen to one side of people's story. If they don't know your walk, they shouldn't speak to it. I had to get him familiar with my walk. I had to bring him up to speed with how I got to the point where I was going to have to move out of my apartment. He understood all of it. My uncle has always been a boss. He's a district manager right now. He understood all of the numbers, all of the aspects, and he done been through his own walk. He completely understood that. He done battled child support, custody, and everything. He was more than understanding and more than fair about my situation. But at the same time, the rent went away, and I can do this. I can help him, with what he asked me to do. It would be unfair of me to feel as though he was asking too much of me at that time. The rent went away, but I still had daycare. Now I'm up to bi-weekly payments for the transmission and monthly payments to 2 attorneys and amongst my other bills, because Asia daddy had a parental allocation where he was supposed to pay tuition. He wasn't paying tuition. He didn't do anything in that parental allocation, and it was never enforced. This is the thing about going to court. There is so much that goes on behind the scenes that just doesn't even get dealt with, and it don't get brought up. I had a whole attorney I was paying. And yes, to her, my case might have seemed small, but in my mind, I'm looking at it like we're not enforcing nothing. So to me, all of that was actually a waste of money that I'll never get back. That's time in court I'll never get back. I won't get back any of this. But this was the intentions as to why they did this. So I had to take a fair understanding that these are the results of the pitfalls I endured in the bad relationships. This is me trying to clean up that house I told y'all about that ended up messy after my house guests left. I ended the relationships, and it seemed like they was doing everything possible to end me. So I'm living in my uncle's house, and 60 days in these new living arrangements, I turned 40. 60 days after I move in with him, I turned 40. I'm acknowledging all of this stuff. Everything just took a turn for the worse. I needed to have been in his house already when I got slapped with everything as far as the attorneys, the transmission. I needed to be in his house. Otherwise, I would have been sitting so low in my own mess by myself. I needed someone to tell me, okay, I understand. I needed that. And so turning 40 for me would have ordinarily had me feeling the need to celebrate because I've been through so much. I didn't feel like celebrating life. I felt dead inside. I know that probably sounds cliche, but I don't think there's another way to describe what, like there was no reason to be feeling celebratory. For what? Ninja, you done lost everything again. Notice I said again. Every time I end a bad relationship and try to repair things, it starts with me losing everything. Here I am. I done lost everything again. And if I'm saying again, then obviously this is a cycle. So let me tell y'all how I spent this birthday. I can laugh now, but when I tell y'all I had absolutely no words for my 40th, I had none. My 40th, normally I'm someone who celebrated at work. I turned 40 and there was nothing. I had a few people, and it meant the world to me, that actually gave me gifts. And these were a few people that I had allowed into my life and had kind of sort of told them some of the things I was going through. So I think that they understood that there was no celebration in me. And so they were nice enough to actually give me gifts. I thought that was a wonderful thing. They did give me gifts. But I didn't come to work with a whole bunch of balloons on my desk, and we didn't have cake, and we didn't order lunch or anything none of that happened. And so that evening I found myself, it was during the week, my birthday, I turned 40 during the week, and I was at the local bar the evening of my 40th birthday sipping cheap Moscato and wondering how I ended up back in someone else's house with my kids. So, if I say the local bar, I'm familiar with it, they familiar with me. So the owner let the DJ know it's my birthday, and he asked what I wanted to hear. And I look at it like this. When you're drinking cheap wine, there's one type of music. When you're drinking brown liquor, there's another. Blues go with brown liquor to me. Don't ask me why. I just feel like blues is brown liquor music. So since I was drinking cheap Moscato, I was like, you know what? Just all the dusties you can muster up. Just give them to me. All the R&B dusties you can muster up, I'll take them. And I told the owner, and you can give me that bottle of wine because I'm going to finish it tonight. So I'm just being all the way 100 with y'all. That's where I was, and that's what I was doing. There was no huge celebration when I turned 40. Ain't nobody, limo pull up. It wasn't a whole bunch of people. I didn't know most of the people that was in the bar. I knew some of them, but I didn't know most of the people that were even in the bar that night. I did not, I really didn't receive that birthday well at all. So I sat there and listened to the Dusties with my cheap Moscato. And as I was listening to the music, it began to remind me of past relationships. I was going over the truth about where each relationship had left me. I'm sitting here, I'm listening to music, I'm sipping, and I'm thinking. Sometimes you have to remove yourself from the entire, I ain't saying you got to go to the bar, but sometimes you have to remove yourself from the entire situation itself and just give yourself some room to think. And it left me thinking. I thought about the truths about the pitfalls, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. What I gave y'all earlier, that's what started coming back to me. Like, look at your relationships. Look at who you were in those relationships. And the truth about me taking care of everybody else's business and not enough of me taking care of my own, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I realized sitting there, I didn't get that many phone calls or text messages for my 40th birthday. And my real level of relevance hit me while I was sitting there. I was so caught up in my reality. Because when I tell y'all, I was sitting there like, If you'd have saw me, you'd have walked up and been like, who are you talking to? Because it was hitting me, and I just was like, wow. It just all came. And I had to allow myself. Some people feel it bubbling up, and we don't want to acknowledge it. I could have went on popping my fingers and switched my drink out for something stronger and told him to crank up the music some more. And ignored what I felt in the pit of my stomach that needed to actually acknowledge my heart and my brain at that time. Because sometimes we don't allow our heart or our brain to feel what we've suppressed. I needed everything that I had been suppressing to come up and hit my heart and my brain and say, let's all get on one accord internally and understand what has been taking place here. I needed that. And even in me getting that, I was so caught up in what I was feeling. A buzz from that cheap wine was just not going to happen. I could have drank my sorrows away. It wasn't happening that way. It really wasn't. And so something in me clicked and was like, so what's next? It was like, once I allowed it to come up and my heart and my mind got to coming together, there was a voltage that was just like, and it came together, and it was like, what's next? Because we got to heal this. We got to fix this. What's next? What we doing next? I'm sitting here thinking about all of this on my 40th birthday in a bar. Oh, Jesus. I began to ponder over, how do I get my life back on track? What do I need to do? I told myself, this is some bull-ish, and this ain't you. So when I could have kicked it all night, and I went to work the next day. I left, and I went home to that room that I shared with me and my kids. And they had school the next day, so they were asleep. And I felt the need to just get on my knees and pray. And I asked God to forgive me for all that I had done that was not pleasing to him. I asked him to just drive the car for me because I need to lie down in the back seat. I'm tired. I didn't even want to know where he was driving me to. I needed to trust him to just get me to wherever he needed me to be. So I went to bed that night with a tear-soaked face because I knew the old me was not going to make it through the night, y'all. I'll see y'all next video.